An obviously chaotic week highlighted by the massive trade between the Minnesota Wild and the Vancouver Canucks that sent Quinn Hughes to Minnesota, overshadowing the Edmonton Oilers making a questionable decision to rebuild their goaltending. Did any of those moves affect our tier list? Let's take a look and find out. And we're starting down at the bottom in the bad and depressing tier. It's really a whole new group down here. The Blues and Blue Jackets have been at the bottom for a while, but now we have the Chicago Blackhawks down here for an absolutely brutal week where they lost 3 of 4 games, including one to the aforementioned St. Louis Blues. They've now only won 2 out of their last 7 games, and now find themselves sitting a game below 500 outside the playoff picture. He could have warned you, Blackhawks fans, that your team was massively overachieving and was going to fall back down to earth soon. It was me. I warned you. Next year up, we got the teams that are bad, but kind of feisty, including the Flames and Canucks, who have been at the bottom for the last month or so. They are moving on up to join the Sharks, Kraken, and Mammoth. On the opposite end of the spectrum from the Blackhawks, the Sharks, 3 straight wins last week, 2 of them in overtime, but both of those were on the road, and a drubbing of the Calgary Flames. I wouldn't say that they're going to be a good team, but they're going to hang around there, be feisty, and Macklin Celebrini, my God, is he looking good. Moving on up, in the next tier, we have 3 mid teams all in the East, the Sabres, Rangers, and Maple Leafs. And an especially bad week for the Rangers, who only managed to get 1 win in 4 games against a pretty soft schedule, including Chicago, Montreal, Anaheim, and Vancouver. They actually got shut out by Chicago and Vancouver, who are 2 of the worst teams in the NHL. Doors frustrated, Zibanejad is missing team meetings, and JT Miller's no BS attitude is looking like a bunch of BS. Moving on up, we got 2 teams who I swear to God are going to fall off at some point in the Flyers and the Penguins. I have no confidence in either of these teams. They keep winning. They're both at the top of the Eastern Conference, but the underlying analytics for both just suggest that these are 2 teams that are playing over their heads. And for Pittsburgh, they've actually started to come back down to earth. Points in only 2 of their last 4 games, even though they played some pretty soft teams like Montreal, San Jose, and Utah. The Pens now find themselves outside of a playoff position. Really, the only reason they're clawing onto relevance this year is that they are masters of eking out a loser point. Tier up is how the fuck are you still alive? And I say that to the Anaheim Ducks, New York Islanders, and LA Kings. These teams do not make sense. I don't understand how they continue to win. I continue to doubt them, but they just keep winning week after week after week. And I know I said I was going to believe in the Anaheim Ducks. Of course, they made me look like an idiot last week by losing 3 out of 4, including games to the Islanders, the ailing New Jersey Devils, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. They only managed to beat the flailing New York Rangers. For all these teams, I have to ask, how do you keep getting away with this? On the opposite end of the spectrum, 3 teams not doing so well, but I keep believing them. You're doing great, sweetie. Senators, Devils, and Jets. The Jets do seem like they're getting right now that Hellebuck is back. It would be fantastic if that ever actually happened for the Devils. Next up, 2 teams that are Ferraris with no gas, and they're the 2 Stanley Cup finalists from last year, Florida and Edmonton. Both of these teams are insanely talented, yet they haven't gotten it into gear this season. Edmonton at least made those trades to try and bolster themselves and get going. And Tristan Jarry's looked pretty good for them so far, so maybe it'll work. Up above them, we got 6 teams that I think are very good in the Golden Knights, Lightning, Bruins, Caps, Red Wings, and Canadiens. And after going on a heater of winning 6 straight games, the Caps have now lost 4 out of 5, including all 3 of their games last week. This team still hasn't fixed their power play, and their shootout looks like garbage. And they also desperately need Ryan Leonard back. He is apparently the straw that stirs their drink. On the other hand, though, the Boston Bruins continue to impress and justify my faith in them coming into this season. They are just too talented to be a team that fades into obscurity. They've now won 5 of their last 6, including 2 out of 3 last week over Winnipeg and Utah, and lost to the red-hot Minnesota Wild. And speaking of those Wild, they are in my elite tier along with Carolina, and ever since they acquired Quinn Hughes, boy, oh boy, does this team look like it's going to be trouble out west. And even before that, they were on a heater. They've won 5 in a row, all but one of those by 3 or more goals. This team looks like an absolute menace, and they've just added another Infinity Stone to their armor. That just leaves us with our 2 juggernaut teams, the gods among mortals, in the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars. And for the Stars, it was a rough week. They lost 2 out of 3, including to the aforementioned Wild and Florida Panthers. They did manage to get a win over the LA Kings. Truthfully, you could put them in their own tier separate from the Colorado Avalanche, who, as I mentioned, are just clearly the best team in the NHL.